Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punt Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Well, hello and welcome. This is Sports Talk with me, Lewis Connell. And as always, I'm joined by Peter Spencer from Betfred. How are you today, Peter?
Yeah, great. No problems at all.
Fantastic. Well, we'll get straight into it then. The big news this week, of course, was that Gareth Southgate has resigned from his role as England manager. A lot of talk about who the next manager will be, and we've got the latest odds for that, haven't we?
Well, we have. I mean, you've got to pay tribute to an extent with Southgate, but he will go down in history as the nearly man. He's got the most fantastic array of great talent in the Premier League, and he hasn't actually won us anything, because we still haven't won anything internationally as England since 1966. I mean, it just takes unbelievable. You start thinking, is this going to happen in our lifetimes? It's ridiculous that we've not won an international tournament for like 50-odd years. It's pathetic, really. So he's fallen on his sword now. He's gone. And now the odds are, Betfred, Eddie Howe is emerging as the outstanding candidate. He's 2-1. I know Fred Dome, the boss here, has actually said that he thinks it should be Eddie Howe. He's determined it should be an Englishman. And we have got 3 Englishmen heading the betting. Eddie Howe, 2-1 favourite. Graham Potter, 5-2. I noticed that he's thrown his hat into the ring. 5-2, the ex-Brighton manager. He's been out of work for some time. Didn't crack it at Chelsea. And he's now basically still getting paid by Chelsea, so if you believe all the reports. He's 5-2 now at Betfred, second favourite. Lee Carsley, now he's an interesting character because he's come through the under-21 setup, which is how Southgate landed the job. He probably, of a lot of people who support him at the FA because of the way that he's emerging, he turned down the Republic of Ireland job. Again, as if you believe the reports in the papers, which I do actually. 3-1, he's third favourite at Betfred. And then we've got some of the more flamboyant foreign managers, such as Klopp. He's 8-1 now. He's been cut into 8-1 because he's not actually said he doesn't want the job. Pochettino's 10-1. Tuchel, he's 16-1. Very, very odd one, this. Frank Lampard. I mean, he's actually done in terms of a manager? He's been a great player, of course, but he's 16-1. And then Guardiola, now, what a coup that would be if the FA could coax him away from City. He has said, but he said this before, that it'll be his last season at City next season. But how many times have we heard that from him? He's a 25-1 shot. And then we've got some of the pundits who've got plenty to say for themselves, think they can do better. Well, here's your chance, Alan Shearer. 100-1 he is with Betfred to become the new England manager. Gary Neville, another highly opinionated pundit, very popular, has a lot to say, and he's very interesting. He's 150-1 with Betfred to be the next England manager.
Well, there you go. Eddie Howe, obviously the favourite there. I think he would be a lot of people's choices, but do you think he would leave Newcastle at this point? Do you think he's maybe got unfinished business there?
You say unfinished business. They have not made the Champions League this year. They did the previous year. So looking at it in a realistic way, he has gone a little bit backwards there. And you wonder about some of the changes at the top, like they've lost the fella to United, haven't they, Ashworth? And there's other changes in the board. It's whether he has actually got the backing and support that he requires to challenge the big guns in the Premier League, such as City and United and Arsenal and Chelsea. So he hasn't quite got the ammunition there. So I'm wondering whether there is a tidgy little bit of unrest and that he might be tempted. He's a 2-1 shot and he's the out favourite. But it's a bit sad that we're thinking of Eddie Howe as the best of the English managers. Is he really that good? Has he actually done anything in terms of high-grade football? They didn't do so well in the Champions League, did they, Newcastle? And you do wonder whether we should be casting our net a little bit further into the realms of Guardiola and Klopp and Pochettino, people like that who have got a little bit more about them and could get a better tune out of these fantastic, and I've got to say, fantastic players that he's got at his disposal. Because Southgate, he was too loyal to people like Harry Kane, and dare I say it, Phil Foden as well. He did show ridiculous loyalty to players who weren't doing the business for England. I mean, why he didn't introduce Cole Palmer more into the game and start him? He was the outstanding player for England. He's one of only 2 players, I would say, who've come away from that tournament with any increase in their credit ratings. He's just an excellent player. And you get to think to yourself whether Guardiola, secretly, he'll never admit it, of course, has made a mistake letting him go. And of course, you say that, and all the City fans go, "Oh, he wanted to go." Yeah. Why did he want to go? Because he wasn't getting any game time. So the answer was, give him the game time and keep him here.
Would that not sort of bother you then, having a foreign manager? We've obviously had it plenty of times in the past, and there are some great names on the list there.
Well, you say foreign, but it's with a little f, because they're basically established English Premier League managers. So kind of, I bet people like Guardiola have spent as much time away from Spain than he has in Spain, because of these great track record around Europe, building supreme teams. He probably would welcome that challenge, to be honest, in a year's time.
Well, hopefully that is the case. I think that would be a fantastic appointment by the FA. We'll have to wait and see on that. But just moving on to the Premier League, Manchester United have been very busy in the transfer market over the past couple of days. I can't quite believe what I'm seeing. They're acting like a proper football club again. They've signed 2 players before the end of July, which is sort of unheard of. And the 18-year-old Lenny Yoro was wanted by Real Madrid. So they've got a real coup with bringing him in.
Yeah, they have. Well, it looks like that on the face of it, and you can see how the new regime has kind of got their act together. I mean, they're acting like Manchester City in terms of get it all sorted out, get a good pre-season under the belts, and let's get the season running full pelt without being subject to massive speculation. I think it's great news for United fans' point of view.
They've signed Joshua Zirkzee as well, a forward who's going to offer a lot to the squad, and they're already looking at a midfielder as well in Agate. So they're making plenty of moves in the transfer market. As are Manchester City. They seem like the only 2 clubs to be doing anything in the Premier League. They've signed the Brazilian winger Savio. He's looking like a decent buy for them, one for the future, no doubt. And the Community Shield's coming very fast, isn't it? That's
that August
the
August the 10th, Community Shield. United are 5-1 at Betfred to win that. City 2-5. Very similar to the FA Cup odds, though. So I remember thinking how United were a good value. Well, anything can happen in a one-off game, and also both the managers will be resting players who've been involved in the Euros, and no doubt the end of season tours or close pre-season tours, which is another bee in my bonnet. The fact that they go off to America and then bleat about too many matches. But City are 2-5 to win that game. United 5-1, and that'll get the season up and running.
And going into the Premier League season, I'm sure City are still the favourites for that.
Well, yeah, no surprises there. City 6-5 to go on and win it again. Arsenal 7-4. Betfred have Liverpool 8-1. Chelsea 12-1. United, quite attractive price that, 25-1. The same price as Newcastle. Be interesting to see what happens to the Newcastle price if Eddie Howe opts to go to England. Spurs are 33-1. And Aston Villa 66-1. So we think it's going to be a bit out of those 8 teams that I've just mentioned.
And obviously Man United not very far up that list, as you would expect United.
Well, we've got to be equal 5th place there behind City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea. And I think that's fair enough, but it's just the price is 25-1. Isn't a bad bet for £1 or £10 of anybody's money.
Yeah, not too bad at all, with especially if there's more signings coming in between now and the start of the season. But just moving on to the Betfred Super League, there's a massive game tonight where St Helens take on Warrington, having lost 3 on the bounce. They really need to turn things around. Yeah,
it is unprecedented that Saints should go into this game on such a bad run. The 4-7 to put that to bed tonight, so Betfred have them at 4-7 to pick up both points against Warrington. I mean, that is a humdinger of a game. Huge pressure on St Helens, having lost last week to the arch rivals Wigan. We got Wacker Blake 2-1 to score the first try for Saints. Matty Ashton needs a 4-1 shot to do the same in the game. He's obviously the Warrington winger, so it should be one heck of a game, that. And outright odds, well, Wigan are odds on now, and that's because they're 4 points clear at the top with a game in hand. They're 8-11 at Betfred to go on and win the Betfred Super League. St Helens, they're on the slide, 3-1. Then we've got Warrington, 8-1. Warrington actually in second place at the moment, ahead of tonight's game against St Helens. Hull KR, dark horses, coming on strongly. They're 9-1 shots. Catalans, 10-1. And the 2 other Greater Manchester teams, Salford, they're 33-1. They're playing tonight also, 33-1 to win the Betfred Super League outright. And Lee, 50-1 shots.
And obviously Wigan are in action against Hull FC as well tomorrow, so there's a very good weekend of action in the Betfred Super League. Just to finish the show, we've got some odds on the next US president. There's been some shortening on the odds in terms of Donald Trump, hasn't there?
Well, after Donald Trump, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, he's shortened now to 1-2 to be the next president of America. What a comeback that'll be. And bizarrely, Joe Biden, his odds are tumbling. He's suffered from COVID now, so it's affecting his campaign. He's now 4th favourite to be the new president. He's behind Kamala Harris, who's 100-30. Michelle Obama, 12-1. And then we've got Joe Biden, 14-1. Unbelievable that he's not even second favourite going into the election, when he is the candidate at the moment for the Democrats. Lots of speculation that the Democrats are going to change their candidate. I noticed that the ex-President Obama has actually come out and said that Joe Biden should consider stepping down and allowing someone else to pick up the ticket. For my money, I think Gavin Newsom, the Californian governor, he is a sound bet, Democrat of course, 22-1 to be the next president. They may well go away from the established order and go for someone like Newsom, who isn't as well known as some of the others, although he's hugely known in California. He's 22-1 at Betfred to be the next president. But as I say, lots of money piling in on Donald Trump, as it has been virtually since he lost last time. He's 1-2 now to be the next president of America.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy turnaround, wasn't it? As you say, Joe Biden's gone down to 4th now in the pecking order, and that awful event is almost helped Trump's cause, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. All the Republicans will now be thinking that he deserves a chance of having cheated death, effectively.
Of course. And just before we go, actually, there's some odds that you can check out on the Betfred website. Obviously, there's a lot of cricket action going on at the moment. With England taking on the West Indies, you can find all the latest odds there on Betfred's website, as well as the odds for the UK Open Golf. Obviously, we've not mentioned them on here today because they are fluctuating as we speak with the second day underway. And if you do fancy a bet on anything we've discussed today, you can bet online, on the app, or in Betfred stores. And thank you, as always, for joining us, Peter.
No problem at all.
Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punts Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18+, begambleaware.org.